Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm giving you my April wrap-up. First of all, I want to apologize for the very, very bad lighting here. I don't have any more cable for my ring light because it got cut off and it was very dangerous to use it. And in my house, lights just seem to be not working right. So we're gonna have to hope that I'll be able to do something with the editing. But yeah, I'm sorry. Also, I have balloons here because I am filming this on May 5th. Yesterday was my son's birthday party with his friends, so he got balloons, and it's also going to be my birthday very soon. So I'm just keeping it in the decor. I felt it's giving a little bit of fun energy for me. So April was way more successful reading month than March was, because if you haven't seen it, in March I read 0 book, and it's the first time it happened to me since I'm on BookTube. So yeah, it's not very hard to beat. So this month I give myself a goal to read 8 books, and I managed to read 6, which is actually really good for me. I did participate in many things during April. So first of all, as I always do, I participated in the Buzzwordathon hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala. So every month you have a buzzword, and you just need to read as many books with that buzzword in the title in order to complete the Buzzwordathon. So far, I was very behind in my Buzzwordathons. I was rolling over the buzzword for February, which was a positive word. I chose A Promised Land by Barack Obama for that book. I unfortunately didn't get to read that one. In March, the buzzword was a character name, and for that book, I did read The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. This one I was scared of picking up because it was on my list, and I bought it like a very cheap price on my reader. And it was on my list for so long, because when I first got onto BookTube, discovered BookTube at all, I started just adding like hyped books, what books everybody was talking about, and the cover was so pretty, so I added it to it. I was kind of scared because it was a BookTube favorite a couple of years ago, and I was scared that it was just like overhyped, or because I don't hear much about it anymore, or it wouldn't pass the test of time. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy it as much as I hoped I would. This is a very strange book. If you don't like magical realism, this book is definitely not for you. I loved the flowery writing. I really enjoyed that, and that's the reason why I rated it a little bit higher, is because I could recognize the quality of the prose from the author. But our main character explains from the beginning that like she is explaining her family ancestry and what happened to her great-grandmother and her grandmother and her mother, and like their lives basically, and in order to tell her own story. But it took so much time to get to that point. Like, we didn't know about our main character's story until like the second half of the book, which is, in my opinion, way too long to get to there. I enjoyed the characters, but at the same time, I didn't understand what was the point of the book, what the author was trying to say. I couldn't grasp it. And the whole time I was reading this book, I just kept asking myself, why? Like, why are you telling me this? Why is this relevant? I don't understand like why you're talking. I understood the story. I just didn't understand why you were telling me all of this stuff, because no, it did not help me to learn all about that history in order to like appreciate the current present story that was going on. Nope, didn't help much. Not really. And sometimes it did feel like I was reading this historical book and not a fictional story. So yeah, I ended up giving it a 3 stars, and it would have been a 2 or a 2.5 if it wasn't for the very beautiful prose. And finally, the buzzword for April was to read a book, with nature words in the title. For that one, I chose Black Forest by Laramie Dean, and I unfortunately did not have the time to get to that one. So it's gonna be rolled over into next month. I also participate in your Choose Your Own Adventure Readathon, which is a side quest during the whole year from the Orilium Readathon. In April, though, it was the Orilium Readathon, so there was no prompt in April for the side quest because we were doing the classes in the actual Orilium Readathon. But I did have 2 prompts that I didn't get to in the past months. So the first one was for February, which was to read a book with 100 pages over than my usual average page count. For that one, I chose A Promised Land, and as I've said before, I haven't gotten to finish that book, unfortunately. And then I had the prompt for March, which was to read a book that was neither the first nor the last book of a series. And for that one, I decided to pick up Royal's Assassin, which I did manage to finish. It's also part of my own read along because I am reading every book of the Elderlings series. And that book was for February. I am behind in my own read along, but we're not going to talk about it. I did manage to finish Royal's Assassin. I loved it so much. I love how I hate characters and love other characters and how it all comes together. And I love that Fitz is so not perfect and doesn't understand what he's doing. And he's trying his best. And his best is not always good, but he's learning, I guess. And he is very, very lucky with whatever happens to him. If you do want to know my full thoughts on these books, I strongly recommend that you go and watch my vlogs because that's where I have like all of my spoilery thoughts on the go, like as I'm reading. And as of now, it's been a while since I've picked up any of these books, so I'm not exactly sure like what annoyed me, what I loved exactly, like specifics of this book, because the more I read into the series, the more I feel like I'm seeing the big picture as like the trilogy as a whole instead of like specific different books. I don't know if that makes sense at all. Anyways, I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars because it's not quite a 5 stars for me, but it was so good. I really, really, really loved it. For January's Buzzwordathon, the prompt was to read a book with any form of there in the title. For that one, I decided to pick up There by Tommy Orange. I loved this book so much. It was so good. I wanted more. I loved the kind of community aspect to this book where we were learning about all of these characters, and there's a lot in there. I would strongly recommend that you don't take too much time reading this book because it's easy to get lost in these characters. And the more you read about them, the more you realize that they're connected together and they don't always know it. But the way that it's done is so brilliant, really well done. And you get to experience like a life of being a native in very many different ways and how everyone copes with that and how everyone copes with tragic, traumatic events as well. Very, very good. I loved it. The only thing I have to say, though, is that the ending wasn't giving me enough of a conclusion. I wanted to know more afterwards. So it's the only thing I can find that wasn't up to like my taste. But other than that, I gave it a 5 stars. Strongly recommend. And then for the Orilium Readathon, I decided to go with Dreamwalker. So there was 7 prompts, so 7 classes to follow. Unfortunately, as you've guessed already, because I only read 6 books and I only have 7 prompts, I did not manage to finish Orilium, but I was discussing it with other booktubers and I found that, first of all, I didn't know that you had to log books, like you could do that. Oopsies, it's my 2nd year participating. Never done that. I'll do it the next time though. Oopsies. And then from what I've understood is that G, who created this readathon, said that you could like continue if you didn't manage to finish all of your prompts during April. You could do like a summer school, so you could just finish them off before the next Orilium Readathon, and that would count as completing your prompts. So I'm gonna take that because, all right, so to be a dream walker, I needed to do astronomy, which the prompt was to read a zodiac recommendation. And for that one, I went through BookTube with zodiac recommendations, and I found a video where I was recommended to read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So I'm a Taurus, by the way, and I love the nonsense. I've never read the book before, so I was really excited to pick it up. It's also very, very small. It's middle grade. If you don't like poetic nonsense, this is definitely not for you. I love the play on words. I love the nonsense. Like, it makes sense within the nonsense world. I really, really loved it. But throughout the whole book, it talks about like what the moral of the story is. It talks a lot about it. And by the end of the book, I don't feel like Alice has learned anything out of her adventures. So like, I'm not sure exactly, because in the movies, she does learn about it. Like, she does learn stuff. But anyways, maybe it's just a me thing. I really, really, really enjoy Alice because I feel like she acts like a typical like neurodivergent child, which I love that we have this type of representation in books. Like, she's always talking. She's always like all over the place, distracted by everything, anything. She just rolls with everything that's going on. And I love that. I really do. It was fun. So I ended up giving it a 4 stars. The next class was alchemy, and for this one I had to read a book that had a circle on the cover. For that one, I decided to pick up The Black Kid by Christina Hemmings Reads. I've had this book on my TBR for so long, so I'm really glad I got to it, but I didn't finish it. I'm finishing it in May, unfortunately, but I am finishing it. Trust me. The next class was Art of Illusion. For this prompt, it was to read a book with game or play in the title. For that one, I decided to pick up Ready Player One. I do have the physical book. It's just not with me right here. It's upstairs. I don't want to go get it. But I didn't manage to get to this book. I'm way past the 50% mark. So you'll have to follow and watch the May wrap up to get to that review. I can tell you though that it's not going to be a high rating. The next class is Spells and Incantations, and this prompt was to get a random number generator and read a book with that number of letters in the title. Does that make sense? So I got 9, and for that prompt I chose Stormland by John Shirley, and I unfortunately didn't get to finish this book. I am rolling it over into May, and it is going to be a priority as well to finish this one. The next class was Psionics and Divination. This prompt was to make a prediction bingo card for the book you choose to read for that prompt. So I made a 9-square prediction bingo card. I got 2 of those predictions right, but it's fine. The book I chose for that one was The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 2, which is a manga kind of dystopian-ish with a virus spreading on. And I fell in love with the first book, and it's become my favorite manga. So I was happy to pick up book number 2, and it's so good. It's amazing. If you haven't picked this up yet, I strongly recommend. It's amazing. We did go a little bit further into the story in this one and trying to understand the world, what's going on. We were a little bit more into danger, and the ending was a big cliffhanger. Luckily, I did have volume 3. But yeah, strongly recommend. This is like 5 stars. Easy, easy 5-star read. The next class was Conjuration. And for that prompt, I needed to draw a color from a color wheel and read a book with that color on the cover. And for that one, I got purple. And I chose to read The Girl from the Other Side, volume number 3. I could not leave volume number 2 where it was. Nope. I loved the third one even better than the second one. I rated it 5 stars, but I think this could be called a 6 stars easily. So good. Please pick it up. Please, please, please pick it up. And the last class was lore. And for that prompt, it was to reread The Legend of Dia, which was a 1-page story about a goddess that was in the world of Eldia, which is where the Orilium Readathon takes place. So I've never read it before, so I was just glad to actually just read that. I did count the prompt as like done, but I didn't count the 1-page story in as a book, if that makes sense. And that is all for me. Those are the 6 books I've read this month. Let me know if you've read any of these books. What did you think about them? I would love to know. How was your April reading month? Like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you soon in the next one.